for sure it was gone. We left there last night, the flames were in the backyard. I was like, there's no way.
Right now at 5, what residents woke up to in the Lake Isabella area was unbelievable, like a war zone, as dozens of homes had burned and were still burning.
Kind of hard, but I mean, just never seen anything like this.
And neither have we here in Kern County, as the Erskine fire destroys homes and disrupts lives as people are forced to pack up and get out.
My prayers are with everybody, and I hope everybody's made it out all right.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us here for 17 News at 5. I'm Tammy Melchuk.
And I'm Jim Scott. We begin tonight with the latest on the Erskine wildfire. Now in its 25th hour and strong as ever, still ripping through the hot, dry hill communities east of Bakersfield. The fire is now known to be a killer, and it has doubled in size since just this morning. It is 0% contained at this hour. New evacuations have been ordered within the last hour, and we've also learned about a half an hour ago that patients and personnel at Kern Valley Hospital voluntarily evacuated themselves. And the Governor Jerry Brown has now declared a state of emergency for Kern County. Here are your Friday 5 p.m. headlines. Just over 19,000 acres have burned so far. That's nearly 30 square miles. At least 100 structures and homes burned, but fire officials tell us that number could be significantly higher. 1,500 structures are threatened as of news time tonight. 800 firefighters are on the scene. Hundreds more from across the state are on their way to join the fight. Kern County Public Health Department has also sent in a team to assess the damage. There is no AT&T cell service in the area tonight. SoCal Edison also says some 3,000 homes and businesses still without power. And Highway 178 is closed at 2 locations, the intersection of Highway 155 and the intersection with Sierra Way. Now, we're going to take you quickly through a series of maps here, beginning with a look at where the fire started Thursday. A reminder, Lake Isabella is just about 40 miles northeast of Bakersfield. The fire started around 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon just east of Lake Isabella and quickly burned up the hillside between Lake Isabella and Squirrel Mountain Valley.
These are the areas that have been evacuated: Bella Vista, South Lake, Weldon, Onyx, Lakeland Estates, Mountain Mesa, Squirrel Valley, and Yankee Canyon. Plus, there are reports of multiple structures on fire off of Kelso Valley Road in Weldon. Lake Isabella and the Erskine Creek area are under a precautionary evacuation and have received a Ready Kern alert to be ready to leave if they're told to at a moment's notice. We'll have more on that still ahead.
The primary evacuation center tonight is at Kernville Elementary School. That address is 13350 Sierra Way in Kernville, north of Lake Isabella. A second evacuation center now set up at the New Life Assembly of God Church. That address is 25 Arden Avenue in Wofford Heights. We have team coverage tonight from the victims who've lost their homes to the firefighters in the middle of this battle, entrenched in a struggle against the forces of nature. We'll check in with 17's Christina Lopez in just a moment, but we begin tonight with 17's Kristen Price, who's been assessing the damage as this wildfire continues to intensify. Kristen?
Jim, a Kern County Fire Battalion chief told me that there are multiple structures on fire right now that are burning off of Kelso Valley Road. And this all just started within the last few hours as the wildfire moved east. We drove up there shortly before the area was closed off this afternoon. We started seeing flames just after the fork where Kelso Valley and Kelso Creek roads meet. There are multiple homes in that area, and flames were not too far from those structures. At times, the homes disappeared because there was such thick black smoke surrounding them. We stuck around and got this video, but around 2:30 this afternoon, fire crews said it was too dangerous for us to stay. As we were leaving, we spoke with the man who lives in the area. He said his father stayed behind with the house.
We make sure all the weeds are cut down. We clear everything away. We have a couple of wood piles that they're semi-close to the house, but they're far enough away that if they go up, we have a little bit of a buffer there.
Some homeowners worked alongside firefighters to protect the homes. A rancher high-fived firefighters as they worked together to cut a fire line, and helicopters made water drops nearby. And fire officials, again, have not been able to give us an exact number of structures that have burned in that area, but a battalion chief told me that there are several structures on fire there. Live in Mountain Meadows, Kristen Price, 17 News.
Kristen, thanks. Down the street about a block away from where Kristen is, Sheriff's Office swarmed a home in Squirrel Mountain Valley today. 17's Christina Lopez is live outside the home with details of what she has seen going on there. Christina.
Jim and Tammy, it's a very active crime scene here in the 3800 block of McRae in Mount Mesa, where earlier this afternoon, a sheriff's deputy was walking down this neighborhood, checking for properties and checking to make sure that everything was fine here, when he came across one burnt out property in the middle of this block and found two individuals deceased inside the burned property. He could not confirm the gender, the identity, or the age of these two individuals. Upon the discovery of those bodies, that deputy made a call, and Kern County sheriffs came out right away. The coroner is on scene now, as well as homicide detectives who are treating this as a homicide investigation. We do understand that the two individuals were found inside the home together. Again, it is unclear how old these individuals were, if they were elderly, or why they decided not to leave the property during the fire. KCSO believes that this may have been caused by the fire, but they do not know for sure the cause of death. That is pending an autopsy. The two bodies are still on scene. Coroners are on scene as well, determining what the next steps will be. These two bodies will be transported with the coroner's office and headed to Bakersfield for an autopsy. We will continue to follow this story and give you updates here on 17 News, but we can confirm right now that there are two fatalities here in Mount Mesa, may have been related to this fire. I'm Christina Lopez, live in Mount Mesa for 17 News.
Christina, thank you. The sheer size of this wildfire is astounding, and the damage that it has caused in such a short period of time is really quite shocking. Hundreds of people have been forced to evacuate their homes, knowing as they leave, they might not have a place to go home to when this is all over. 17's Tabitha Mills sharing now how some evacuees are riding out this emotional roller coaster. She joins us now in studio with a heartfelt story in the midst of all this madness. Tabitha?
Jim, the shelter manager at the Red Cross Evacuation Center in Kernville, says this is the biggest group of evacuees they've ever helped. At one point, more than 170 people sought help at the center. It's a chaotic and tragic time for many. They've lost everything. One South Lake man says this fire made him realize what he cherishes most, and now he's holding on to the one thing he didn't lose.
I lost everything, and I found the only person I had left, and I asked her to marry me.
When the Erskine fire hit South Lake, Eric Kirby and Melanie Perea were separated.
And I couldn't find him.
The two were reunited this morning at the Kernville Elementary School Evacuation Center.
I'm so glad I found you.
It was a reunion like no other.
I don't ever want to be without her again.
I love you. I love you.
It was a moment of happiness in the midst of a monumental amount of sad.
Yes, I've been up here 39 years, and the last large fire we had was back in 2004, and we've lost a lot more homes this time, and it's burned through a lot more communities than any other fire has, so it's really bad.
They gave us a call and said evacuate, and then it was like, I mean, within 10 minutes, it was just coming over the hill, and the ashes are blowing in my face. I mean, it was just so fast.
Many evacuees are grateful.
Are you thankful that there's an area for Taz here?
Yes, and us too. Everybody made it out here safe.
Some evacuees are appreciative.
It warms my heart to see everybody. There's so many people out here helping each other. It's sad to see a disaster, but it's nice to see the community come together to help.
And most, praying.
God watch over us. Thanks.
The Red Cross says the best way to help is monetary donations. The evacuation centers do not receive federal funding. If you'd like to help our Erskine fire evacuees, go to our website, kerngoldenempire.com. Reporting in studio, Tabitha Mills, 17 News.
Tabitha, thanks. We continue our coverage tonight with 17's Ann DeGrazia. She was first on scene for us last night and was back out there again at the fire scene this morning. She joins us in studio now with updates on Lake Isabella after a ready current alert was sent to the area, including the Erskine Creek area, which we told you earlier remains under a precautionary evacuation. Ann?
Tammy, families in Lake Isabella are preparing to evacuate. We were out there last night and this morning, and most people are saying they're prepared for the worst. Wrangling pigs and roosters. The Ball family is evacuating.
Saw a couple of smoke. It was big, and there was big flames.
Brianna and Akimi Ball say they're off to Grandpa's to stay safe.
Like a god-awful feeling, to be threatened to lose all your personal possessions and your home.
With the back of their expedition packed.
Stuff that you can't replace.
Photos of their daddy, who's off fighting the Erskine fire.
Scary sometimes, huh? Mm-hmm.
As the Balls get ready to leave, families make phone calls in town, hoping the fire doesn't do any more damage.
It's just nerve-wracking.
Yeah. As you can see, these wind gusts are extremely strong, making it very difficult for these firefighters to fight this fire. And as the evacuations continue, look at all the damage that's already been done.
So I do urge people to get together and help their neighbors out, because they're definitely going to need the help.
If you do have to evacuate and have physical limitations and need assistance, call 1-800-277-7866. Coming up at 6, we'll hear from Kern River Tours with information on vacationing in the area during the fire. In the newsroom, Ann DeGrazia for 17 News.
We're continuing to watch as the winds have been a concern out of the west. Meanwhile, as we take a look here from our Breckenridge camera, this is Breckenridge to Havilah, and you can see that line of smoke. So that plume continues to filter eastward away from Bakersfield and away from the valley. Another shot here from our camera showing it in the very far right corner of your screen there. And we still have smoky conditions up there. So Kern Air is advising folks in that area, of course, to avoid outdoor activities if possible. Try to stay inside. I know a lot of folks, of course, evacuating and whatnot, but that air quality is poor up there. And here's our camera, and it's just, again, facing that fire. So we're continuing to watch as this fire is quickly growing. And this afternoon, we saw gusts upwards of 40 miles per hour. So wind sustained out of the southwest at 36 last hour. Now we're down to 26 right now. Latest observation, 87 degrees. Our dew point's at 35, and the relative humidity is low at 16%. So we do have some watches and warnings in place. And the National Weather Service has extended the wind advisory now through 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. That's not good. That means those winds are going to hang on again throughout the overnight. And with 0% containment and these gusty winds continuing, they're just going to face an uphill battle. Meanwhile, we still have the red flag warning. That does expire at 10 o'clock tonight. So the ingredients are in place, unfortunately, for this fire to continue to spread. We have the heat, we have the low relative humidity, and we're also looking at the gusty winds. So into tonight, here's your planner for Lake Isabella. 84 degrees at 6 o'clock, and then at 9 p.m. 76 degrees here in Bakersfield today, into the 90s, but we have heat on the way for the weekend. That and more in Pinpoint Weather.
Listen, thank you. Many of us who don't live in the Kern River Valley woke up this morning wondering how the firefight went overnight. It was a rather sobering wake-up call at sunrise as the winds were whipping back up, and then the realization set in that this battle will take a very long time to win. This is what firefighters feared would happen as day broke. Mother Nature unleashing her fury to a higher pitch, with devastating winds further fanning the flames. At first, many residents watched the ominous smoke coming at them from a distance. Then, fire ravaging everything in its path. Wherever you looked, up in the Lake Isabella area this morning, ravenous flames just taking over. Homes reduced to rubble, fences going up like matchsticks, even power lines no match for this menace. And the sounds are surreal. The propane tanks which fuel homes in these mountain communities posing a major problem. one after another, homes being leveled in the fire's path. A seemingly overwhelming firefight for our local heroes on the front lines as hundreds of other firefighters across the state rally to help bring relief and support.
More than 4,000 people have their roots in Lake Isabella, where homes are spread throughout the valley and the mountains. It's a community that has memories tied to the area and homes. 17's Alex Fisher has that part of our story. He talks about the communities in Lake Isabella.
It's a city known for its lake, but it's more than just a recreational hangout, with many people living in the rugged terrain, calling the mountain their home. This is Lake Isabella, a hidden valley surrounded by tall mountains, a small town that many call home.
I love it here. I don't know what we'll do without Lake Isabella.
It's a community with homes nestled in the mountains.
If you drive around at night, every little nook and cranny has a house in it.
But the peace of living in those mountains comes with a price.
We always have to be prepared to evacuate, and all during the fire season, we're always looking around.
Many homes in Lake Isabella have been in the family for generations. And with this fire, decades of memories gone.
My dad lived there, and he just died a few days ago. Yesterday was his birthday. And every memory was in that house, and it's just gone.
But it's during the devastation that the Lake Isabella community comes together like never before.
We live with the threat of wildfire every year. But the community, the people, they pull together, whether they knew each other or not. It's just the way we are up here.
Now, residents tell me that this past rainy winter did bring a lot of brush into the mountains, which is, of course, fuel for the fire. In Lake Isabella, Alex Fisher, 17 News.
Anytime a wildfire like this tears through a community, there is always concern for pets and livestock. 17's Jason Galvin has information now on what residents can do with their animals during this wildfire.
Kern County Animal Services says, unfortunately, in times like this, there's simply not enough resources to safely rescue everybody's pets and livestock. Those with house pets and other small animals are able to bring them to the evacuation center at Kernville Elementary School. But those with large animals like horses and livestock have fewer options. If you're in danger and need to evacuate your large animals, call Animal Services directly at 868-7100. Nick Cullen with Animal Services says rescues will be conducted on a case-by-case basis. Those with horses who have or are about to evacuate have a few options. First Baptist Church in Lake Isabella has room for horses, as does Mark Burtick, a resident in Kernville with several acres of fenced-in land. Burtick is asking for volunteers to help care for those animals as well. He's located at 587 James Road in Kernville. And PETA today reminding residents to always be prepared to evacuate your pets in times of disasters. Know your destination, and if it's pet friendly, secure dogs and pets with leashes and harnesses, and never leave animals unattended in vehicles. For a full list of places to go if you are evacuated with animals, head to our website, kerngoldenempire.com. Jason Galvin, 17 News.
California Water Service, meantime, and the State Water Resources Control Board's Division of Drinking Water have issued a precautionary boil water advisory for customers in Cal Water's Squirrel Mountain, South Lake, and Mountain Mesa water systems. These customers are advised to use boiled tap water or bottled water for drinking, preparing food, and brushing teeth until further notice.
We want to hear from you. Share your stories, pictures, and video with us on social media with the hashtag ErskineFire. Here is a look at some of the photos our viewers have been sending in. We have reposted many on our website, kerngoldenempire.com. You can share your stories, pictures, and videos with us on social media, again with the hashtag ErskineFire. Share your posts on our Facebook and Twitter pages. You can also email us at 17news@kget.com.
Now to your money, and a major plunge today for stock markets across the globe. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down 611 points today, over 3%, on the heels of the United Kingdom voting to exit the European Union and Prime Minister David Cameron saying he will resign by October. A last-minute 100-point rally was stifled by the closing bell. We'll have more on the Brexit, as they're calling it, and we'll have a closer look at the markets coming up a bit later in this newscast. And plus, we will have a look at other stocks and how oil prices fared today as well, just ahead in your 17 Business Watch at 5:30.
And our coverage of the Erskine fire continues as well. Stay with 17 News at 5 for the latest.
We are back now with amazing time-lapse video shot by viewer John Ornosky, his second video installment since this fire broke out. Take a look at that. Shows the fast, furious growth of the Erskine wildfire in just a matter of hours over Lake Isabella, and how the winds were just pushing those flames over the mountains and keeping them low, almost preventing them from escaping into the atmosphere, it looks like. And as the sun went down, the flames and embers eerily lighting up the community there. Wow. All right, let's go back to the Pinpoint Weather Center. Here's Alyssa.
More pictures coming in from our viewers, both on Facebook as well as Twitter, and of course here by email, weather@kget.com. If you have some, Black Owl Media, again, providing shots of the Erskine fire, and we're continuing to watch as, again, more planes are dropping water, more crews are heading there, over 800 firefighters on scene, but they are fighting an uphill battle, and that is due to these gusty winds. As we head into tonight, look at the direction of the wind, now out of the north and west, and as we watch the colors, things quietly started to fade color-wise, meaning that the winds were diminishing. So we'll be watching here for winds currently sustained around 25 to 35 miles per hour, probably for about the next 3 hours or so. And then by 11 p.m., we'll watch as gusts will go down. So watch the clock here. 6:30, 7 o'clock. Notice we go from 20 miles per hour all the way down to about 12 miles per hour at 11 p.m. That's fine. We need those winds to die down a little bit, and they usually do after sunset. However, we still have the high wind advisory in effect through 5 a.m. So we could see those winds still pick up occasionally overnight, and that has been tough on firefighters battling that fire. 86 degrees currently in Lake Isabella, 104 in Ridgecrest. Meanwhile, on the other side of the mountain, and watching for the desert areas to still be pretty steamy. 77 in Tehachapi, 74 in Fraser Park. Lower 90s though in Bakersfield and in the valley today. That's all thanks to a disturbance that continues up in the Pacific Northwest, and that's bringing in the winds, but it's also bringing in some cooler temperatures too, and I'll show you that in a second. Relative humidity value at 15%, the dew point's at 39, winds are out of the northwest at 10. And as we take a look at the regional satellite, no rain to be found here, but we are continuing to watch as this system, this area of low pressure here into the Pacific Northwest, continues to kick up the winds. So we'll be looking for that. Meanwhile, high pressure building in aloft will also work against us in terms of heat as we head into the next few days. So breaking it down for you, mainly watching as the low will shift eastward. We'll get the winds out of here by tomorrow afternoon and into Sunday. Hopefully it will not be as breezy, but then we'll be watching here from the east as high pressure in the upper levels moves in, and as it moves westward, we'll be looking for that heat to continue to climb. So triple-digit heat in the forecast maybe as early as Sunday, and especially into Monday and Tuesday, and we're not the only ones feeling this. All the way up near the Canadian border, we'll be looking for temperatures to be well above average by 10 to 15 degrees. Air quality and healthy for sensitive groups at 143, and just a reminder, if you are up in the fire area, we have poor air quality up there, so try not to inhale that smoke as much as you can. We'll be looking here at 98 tomorrow in the valley, and then 102 on Sunday, 104 on Monday, 105 on Tuesday, and yes, that heat is going to be relentless next week. Still in the triple digits Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday now. Overnight lows in the lower 70s. Into the mountains, we have 90s on the way, still breezy tomorrow. And as we head into the Kern River Valley, 96 tomorrow and breezy, 99 on Sunday, triple digits next week with lows in the 70s. So this afternoon, we again saw those gusty winds, and that combined with the low humidity as well as the heat has just been the perfect fuel with all that dry brush to let this fire just really explode quickly.
Yeah, and we have a number of homes still out of power, and that's one of the reasons why Cal Water has issued the boil water advisory for the homes in Mountain Mesa and Squirrel Mountain Valley, because some of the power to their pumping stations up there has been cut off. So that is a distinct concern for people at the Cal Water Service Company who have customers up there.
Yeah, it is tough to see those pictures, and certainly hoping for the best. Yes,
all right.
Mother Nature.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Still to come, aftershocks rumbling across the globe following the vote on Brexit.
The United Kingdom voting to exit the European Union. The fallout from that historic referendum when 17 News at 5 continues. Making news around the world this hour, Britain has voted to leave the European Union after a bitterly divisive referendum campaign, toppling the government and sending global markets plunging.
This means that the UK has voted to leave the European Union.
Half the country cheering the historic vote, the other half jeering after the political earthquake, the aftershock, Britain's Prime Minister resigning.
I do not think it would be right for me to try to be the captain that steers our country to its next destination.
The result was a shock right from the start. Few expected a win for Britain's exit from the 28-member European Union, but the referendum passed 52 to 48%. Supporters called it Independence Day. Fear of being overrun by immigrants was a driving force among supporters. That and their desire to get out from under the thumb of Brussels, Belgium, the seat of power for the EU. The referendum is not legally binding, though it is difficult to imagine that the British government would ignore the will of the people. There are also calls from other European countries, namely France and Italy, to let their voters have their say on membership in the European Union.
The United States is being directly affected by the vote in Britain. Concerns range from mere falling 401ks to economic stability and military alliances. The next step is being described as a messy 2-year divorce, but the United States doesn't have the luxury of choosing sides. As Wall Street and other world markets were in full retreat, President Obama offered some words of assurance.
While the UK's relationship with the EU will change, one thing that will not change is the special relationship that exists between our two nations. That will endure. The EU will remain one of our indispensable partners.
The British vote, which now endangers the European Union's very existence, was a populist backlash against globalization, economic austerity, bureaucracy, and outrage over immigration, all of which echoes in the current U.S. political climate. Donald Trump is in Scotland, which voted against the EU exit. He supports it. Hillary Clinton issued a statement saying this uncertain time underscores the need for calm, steady, experienced leadership in the White House. Still to come, a lucky lottery winner here in Bakersfield, and a local initiative to regulate medical marijuana in Bakersfield may be on the November ballot. A preview of Saturday's installment of Kern County In Depth when we come back.
Welcome back. Voters in Bakersfield may see a local initiative on the ballot this November that, if passed, would lift the city's ban on medical marijuana dispensaries and replace it with regulations enacted by the state legislature last year. The merits of that measure will be examined this Saturday on Kern County In Depth.
The current status quo banning these organizations, it basically creates an illegal atmosphere, a criminal atmosphere. And it's introduced the criminal element into Bakersfield.
This is going to eliminate certain problems that have already been brought before the council. This will get these businesses out of the residential neighborhoods. It will get them away from any schools.
I always refer to it as playing whack-a-mole a little bit. For every 1 or 2 I close down, 2 or 3 pop up somewhere else.
The Medical Cannabis Initiative is the focus of our program this week, and we'll take a look at a statewide ballot measure currently in the certification process that, if passed, would legalize and regulate marijuana for recreational use in California. So join us, Kern County In Depth, this Saturday evening at 6 p.m. right after NBC Nightly News here on TV 17.
A Bakersfield man is $750,000 richer after he won a $10 mystery crossword scratcher ticket last week. Jose Ramirez Leon bought the winning ticket, which looks like this one on your screen, at the Edison Market in Delhi, located on Edison Highway. He bought it June 14th. Officials say the $10 mystery crossword scratchers are part of the lottery's continued effort to give out more prizes, create more winners, and of course earn more money for public education.
Parts of the Kern River Valley resemble a war zone tonight. The Erskine wildfire exacting a human toll as more firefighters pour in, heading to the front lines. The latest numbers on the structural losses and information on the latest evacuations in the Lake Isabella area when we come back.
We're
working in the spirit of the Golden Empire. This is 17 News at 5:30.
Welcome back. New at 5:30, we continue our coverage of the Erskine wildfire, a fire that has now turned deadly and doubled in size since just this morning.
Kern County Fire confirming 2 people have died in the fire, they believe. They did not elaborate on where the deaths happened or how. Meantime, this fast-moving and devastating conflagration continues to rage out of control. Just over 19,000 acres have burned. The fire has no containment. At least 100 structures and homes have burned. Fire officials, though, tell us that number could be significantly higher. 1,500 structures remain threatened as of news time tonight.